Interview with the vampire. Oh, scary stuff. It's not. It's quite long. A little bit slow. Well, before... let's get into it. Interview with the Vampire is from 1994. It lasts about 2 hours and 5 minutes. That's so long. It stars Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Kirsten Dunst. It also features Stephen Ray and Antonio Banderas. So the full title is actually Interview with the Vampire. The Vampire Chronicles. Make it sound more dull. No, it doesn't. Anyway, what's the tagline? Drink from me and live forever. Right, before we start this, are you telling me that you don't like this movie? No, I'm not saying that. It's got some really cool bits, great performances. That, oh, you missed out Christian Slater, by the way. I did miss out Christian Slater. It also stars Christian Slater. My apologies. Christian, see you later. So we'll give a brief summary of the movie, and then we'll get into the actual plot. Yeah, although we'll also look at the posters. So, Interview with the Vampire is bookended by scenes of modern day New Orleans. Brad Pitt plays Lewis, and he has been interviewed by a young, hungry reporter, Christian Slater. And how did this interview come about? Well, we'll talk about the film when we talk about the film. Anyway, in this interview, Lewis recounts his life as a vampire, and he tells all about the vampire Lestat, Tom Cruise, and the vampire Claudia, Kirsten Dunst. Yeah. A child. Yeah. Who has to kiss Brad Pitt. Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't think either of them were too keen on that. No. In interviews, when they first came out, journalists are saying to Kirsten Stewart, oh, you're so lucky you got to kiss Brad Pitt. And she was like, I'm 11 years old. He's a grown man. It is horrible. Yeah. Couldn't have been pleasant for either of them, but... So as the story is told to Christian Slater, he eventually comes to realise that everything Lewis is saying is true, and there's a nice little twist at the end of the movie, which saves the movie, because it's getting incredibly dry. You think so? Oh yes. Well, let's take a look at the posters for the movie. Most of the images that were coming up during the web search were for the TV series Interview with the Vampire, which is okay. It's okay. It's not great, but neither's this movie. Right. Let's look at the UK poster first. If you've seen anything about this film, if you've heard of this movie, you've probably seen this poster and just a big picture of Tom Cruise's face, even though he's not really the star. Well, he is, but Brad Pitt really is the lead, so yeah. But back then, Brad Pitt wasn't quite the big star that he is now. And also, I think there was some animosity on set between these two, and they've never worked together since. Oh dear. Grow up, guys. You're pretending to be vampires. Just chill. So do you think this poster? It's alright. I like the sepia tone. The Brad Pitt is nowhere to be seen. Well, there's a couple of people down at the bottom. Maybe one of those are Brad Pitt.
Could be.
That is fine. Makes it look a bit scarier than it is. Yeah, it does actually. Yeah. The US poster we found is pretty much exactly the same, so we found another one from America which looks like this. Yeah, this is bizarre. I mean, there's a naked lady on it with huge breasts. Yeah, she's not in the movie. There is a woman who is in that position in the movie, and she is without clothes. Yeah, she doesn't look like that though. Or at least her bosom doesn't look like that. It's a bit more colourful, a bit more like pulp novel sort of cover, this. I know what you mean. It's not quite as grown up, really. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Alright, I don't know where this is from, but look at this. This makes it look like some erotic thriller, which it kind of veers towards at points, but never really gets there, thankfully. Right, let's talk about the movie. Hi folks, before we go any further, I just want to remind you, we do have a Patreon. If you like what we do here, you want to support us, I need new clothes. I need new pants. That's underwear for my American friends. Anyway, all different tiers. You can get access to cool stuff, you can get gifts, or you can just support us for being so good looking. Hit the link below. It's in the description as well. It's everywhere. We'll just keep dropping hints. So the first people in the movie we meet are Brad Pitt and Christian Slater, and Brad Pitt has got a really bad little Steven Seagal ponytail. I was waiting for him to take Christian Slater and toss him across a table. Christian Slater wanted to interview this guy just because he thought he looked interesting. What kind of journalist is he? Do some research. My goodness.
So you want me to tell you the story of my life?
Like I said, that's what I do.
You followed me here, didn't you?
Yeah, I suppose I did. You seem very interesting.
Yeah, well, then we cut back to 1791, New Orleans, yeah, and it looks like a Red Dead Redemption town. You know, like go to Strawberry or something. It's one of those little towns. Brad Pitt's character Lewis is in mourning at this time. He's lost his wife and his daughter, and he is pretty much on a self-destructive path. Yeah, and then he meets Lestat, the vampire, who dates him and turns him into his daddy vampire. Yeah, I think he wanted a little mate, so he chose Brad Pitt. Good choice. Yep, yeah. He tells him the rules of vampire stuff. Cotton crosses, garlic, don't do anything, but you do need to sleep in a coffin. Why is that a rule? And the rest are nonsense? I don't know, but that's the way it is. Brad Pitt's very reluctant to kill people. Yeah, so he slithers rats and other animals for a while. More of the rules are explained. Never drink from a dead body or someone who has been dead for more than a few minutes, because once the heart starts pumping, the blood starts to lose its purity and it's poisonous to vampires. Oh, do who? Poor vampires. Oh, did you see who one of the Brad Pitt's helpers is? Helpers? Slaves? Oh yeah, they've got slaves because it's that time. The bad times. I mean, not that these times are great times, but... Anyway, yeah, Tandaway Newton. Yeah, he drinks her blood happily. Kills her. And then, and her name's like 5th in the credits or something. Her name is in the open titles, that's right. And she's in it for about 3 minutes. And he kills her. No worries about that. Takes her dead body out, shows it to the other slaves, and says, hey, you're all free. What? It's a bit of a confusing scene. And then he burns the place to the ground. Yeah. Lestat comes home and he's raging. He's like, what have you done? This is a nice house. So they leave the city and go and live down by the waterfront where they seduce women and date their breasts and all this. Yeah. They meet a lot of sex workers and use them for food. Again, Lewis is very reluctant to drink blood from humans, so he goes off in a huff. And he comes across a little plague town, and these guys are like, get out, don't go in there, mister. It's got the plague, everyone's dying, and he meets a little girl who's sitting next to her mother's dead, plagued body. Yeah, so he bites her. This is Kirsten Dunst, and he bites her and transforms her into a vampire. But she doesn't really know what's going on. She's like, here's my mum. And then as soon as she meets Lestat, Tom Cruise, he's like, oh, your mum's dead. Don't worry, you're a vampire now. It'll be a lot of fun for the next million years. Yeah. This was a big movie back in the day, by the way. When it first came out, it was huge. There was, really? Big budget? Yeah, I think so, yeah, big, decent budget. Right. Did they spend any of it in CGI? Because the CGI is shocking. Oh, you mean the vampire transformations? Yeah. It's really weird. And when Brad Pitt first turns into a vampire, he sees a statue moving its eyes at him. Why is that a thing? And also, when Lestat is saying, by the way, your mother's dead, little girl, He's dancing with the chords. Yeah.
E non più drai farfallone amoroso, notte giorno di torno girando. There's still life in the old lady yet!
And then suddenly it's 30 years in the future. All three look exactly the same because obviously vampires don't age. The little girl is getting a bit annoyed because she's like, well, I'll never be a woman, I'll never be an adult. You've taken my whole life from me. You're a pair of dicks. Basically. She's much closer to Brad Pitt than to Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise Lestat is the more strict parent, I guess. So she decides to kill him. Yes, she does. She presents him with the body of two little boys. Yeah. And she says, here, enjoy, tuck in. So he does. He starts to drink the blood upon the little boys and then realises she's played a trick. She has already killed the boys and she's put something into their bloodstream which makes it seem like they've only just been killed, but actually their blood is now poisonous. Yeah, so he starts to choke and he's not doing too well. And then she slits his throat. She does, she cuts his throat. He is dead. They take his body, chuck it. She and Brad Pitt take his body into the swamp, chuck it in the swamp, and they see an alligator eating it. Yeah, or so we think. Not long after this, Lewis and Claudia have decided to leave America. They've got their things packed up, and then Lestat comes back. Yeah, he's not as charming or as handsome looking as he once was, but he's alive. Yeah, he says, thankfully, when you threw me into the swamp, I just sucked the blood of that alligator, and some frogs and toads and stuff, and now I'm back, dearie. He and Brad Pitt have a fight because he's trying to kill Brad Pitt and Claudia, and Brad Pitt manages to set him on fire. Set him on fire, set the whole house on fire, and the whole town catches fire. Yeah, it does. But Lewis and Claudia flee, get on the boat, and leave America. Yeah, they're going looking for other vampires. They've travelled throughout all different lands, all the way across Europe, and they get to France, Paris, yeah, Paris to be specific, in 1870, where they meet Antonio Banderas. Where they meet another vampire, finally, yeah, and he looks like Tiny Tim. Yeah, it's Stephen Rea. And he says, come to this club, we'll hang out there, we'll put on plays, bring the little girl, and we'll have a great time. Yeah. I'd be suspicious. But they do go to the club, where they watch a bizarre stage play. Yeah, Antonio Banderas, he's the oldest living vampire. And they get this woman onto the stage, and she's clearly terrified. It's clearly not part of the act. They strip her naked, and then they all kill her and drink her blood. Yeah. My God. Stephen Rea somehow finds out that Brad Pitt has killed Tom Cruise, and he says the one rule about being a vampire is no vampire shall ever kill another vampire. So he and a couple of his buddies take revenge for Lestat. They take the little girl and this woman, who she's just turned into a vampire to be her mother, stick them in a well to wait for sunrise, and they take Lewis, stick him in a coffin in a wall, brick him up, and leave them there for the next million years. Yeah, well, that's their plan, yeah. But Antonio Banderas has a soft spot for Brad Pitt, and he frees him. But by now sunrise has already happened, so the little girl and her new mother are both turned to dust. Yeah, well, they're turned to stone by the sun. Brad Pitt touches them and they crumble into ashes. Oh well, two less vampires in the world. Yeah, but that's not how he sees it. Tough. Brad Pitt goes mental. He does. He sets fire to the whole place, sets fire to all the coffins, and when the vampires in the coffins are jumping out, he just starts chopping off their heads with an axe. Good on him. Yeah, this is the best bit of the movie. Do you think so? It's at the end. Alright. Eventually, it comes down to Stephen Ray and Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt just cuts him in half in a second. Yeah, it's not the longest movie fight.
And he just left.
Brad Pitt wanders the earth. He does, like the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, yeah. He eventually makes it back to America, just in time to go and see Superman, by the way. He does, you see him leave the cinema, where he's just seen Superman. And then it's 1988, he goes to see Tequila Sunrise. Yeah. And he goes and visits his old house, the one that burned down, the one that he burned Tom Cruise to death in. Yeah. And guess what? Tom Cruise is there, in a little chair. He's like this weak little zombie. And he's like, ugh, what are you doing here? Did you miss me, Lewis? Come give me a hug. Yeah, all that stuff. But he doesn't. He says, your punishment is to live here as you have been for the last 100 years or so. You can live off rats and bugs, and I'll never see you again. Then they cut back to Christian Slater, like, oh my god, what a story. Is this true? It is? Oh well. I'll take your word for that. And he says, what happened to Lestat? Yeah, Brad Pitt says he doesn't know what happened to Lestat. He doesn't know what became of him, but it's been fun, Christian Slater. I'm not going to drink your blood. See you around. Take care. Bye. Christian Slater says to Brad Pitt, can you turn me into a vampire? It sounds really cool. It sounds like a lot of fun. And Brad Pitt's like, it's not. It's really shit, mate. You'll not like it. It's horrible. And then he scares him into accepting the fact that he's a human. Yeah, he puts him off. So Christian Slater takes his little tape recorder that he's recorded this whole story on, gets in his car, and drives off. It's a convertible, by the way. Yes, convertible. That is quite important. He drives off across the bridge, puts in the cassette tape so he can listen back to the story he's just heard. He's shaking his head, he can't believe it. And then...
I assume I need no introduction.
It's Lestat.
I'm going to give you the choice I never had.
Please allow me to introduce
That's the end.
myself.
That is Interview with the Vampire. What did you think of it? Long, drawn out, quite boring in parts. The good parts are really good. The performances are great. Nice cinematography. And I'd like to see more modern day stuff. Oh yeah, but that's not when the movie's set. Well, it is. Well, the start and the end, but most of it is. Anyway, I enjoyed this movie. I think it's very artistically shot. It is a bit slower paced than a lot of other vampire movies, but it's also more romantic and romantic. What are you talking about? It is. I like it. I would recommend it. Yeah, it's fine. Fast forward through the talking bits and you'll enjoy it. Well, let us know what you think about Interview with the Vampire from 1994. Have you got any trivia? Yeah, a quick little bit. The author, Anne Rice, or the author of the novel, yeah, she was so dead against Tom Cruise playing Lestat. She's like, he's the wrong choice. He's terrible. He'll never be able to pull off that part. He'll never be able to act as the vampire Lestat. And then she watched the movie and made a huge public apology. And she went on TV and said, go and see this movie. Tom Cruise is amazing in it. He changed 9/9 completely. It's pretty good. Anything else? Well, yeah, Kirsten Dunst is disgusted at having to kiss Brad Pitt. And more disgusted at the fact that all these journalists are saying, oh, you're so lucky. Weirdos. Okay. Well, that is Interview with the Vampire. I would check out the BBC series as well. That's been out for the last couple of years. I've only watched season 1 so far. It was okay. It wasn't amazing, but it's worth a watch. Yeah. And it's like, what, 8 hours long? I think it's either 6 or 8-parter. And yeah, each episode's about 50 to 60 minutes. So 6 to 8 hours long. And it still feels shorter than this. Right, okay. Please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help us. It really does. And I'm starving. Don't act up. Right. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. I want to suck your tits.